Winners! Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back, everyone, to podcast 68 of 2018. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can tweet me at The Public Dog, or you can tweet us at The Odds Breakers. We have a very special Christmas and holiday show for you. We are going to break down some of the main bowl games. And there is nobody more perfect during Christmas season to have on than the polar bear, well, ESPN's The Bear, Chris Fallica. Should you need a sports book during this holiday season, please visit mybookie.ag. Use the promo code TheOddsBreakers for a 50% first-time bonus. Terms and conditions apply. If you'd like to help us out with our costs, we would love to help you out. Please visit theoddsbreakers.com, become a member for $12.99 a month, and we will give you our premium picks when we make the picks before the line moves. For $2 more, you can become a patron subscriber and get our podcast, such as this one, a little bit early. And if nothing else, please visit theoddsbreakers.com and become a free picks newsletter subscriber. I want to thank you all out there for a fantastic year. Our listenership has grown 500% just since August. You guys rock. If you enjoy our show, please visit iTunes or Google Play and leave a 5-star review. Also would love to hear from you. We are nothing without our fans. Want to make sure that you guys know that we are truly thankful for you. Without further ado, let's bring on the Bear, Chris Fallica. He is one of the most well-known sports bettors and handicappers in the business. You see him sharing his plunder of winners with everyone on Saturdays during the football season on ESPN College Game Day. So excited to welcome back the Bear, Chris Fallica, as our guest on the Odds Breakers. You can follow him on Twitter at Chris, Fallica. How you doing this holiday season, Chris?
I'm doing pretty well, yeah. It's been a little bit of a break from the end of the season, being at the Vegas Bowl and kind of a week or so to kind of catch my breath, recoup the Christmas holiday upon us, and then head on down to the Orange Bowl. We'll enjoy one of the semifinals down there. Game day will be down there. Head on out to the Rose Bowl. We'll have a game day show out there, and then the national title game. So it's a pretty darn good, a busy but a pretty darn good life I have. Good run coming up.
Very, very good run here. And my goodness, the travel that you go through, does that ever just wear down on you, or do you get to the point where you're just used to it?
Yeah, both. Yeah, you do get used to it, but at the same time, you kind of you know at some point during the year you're going to get that mid-season type just travel lull, just flight delays, dead tired, red eye, and just something's going to come up, and you're going to get sick on it. You know you're just going to get worn down, but you know what? The reward is getting to go to a college football game every single week, and while it is my real job, it's not a real job. If you live it, you love it, it's your passion. It's certainly not work.
Absolutely, man, and that's why.
And we did just have my diamond run for the Vegas Bowl. So we have achieved diamond medallion for Delta. So I am extremely happy to reap those dividends in 2019.
Oh, absolutely, man. You know, I remember from the last time we were on, right before the college football season, we had some season future discussions, and was kind of curious how your college football future bets ended up.
They turned out well. We've been going back and forth, and we know about the Buffalo debacle in the second half of the MAC title game, and that was very, very disappointing. Mm-hmm. So, but that was it got us to a live position where we had the favorite in the game. we could take the underdog plus the points just to do a straight little, maybe create a little bit of a middle. And we did have, the funny thing is we actually had that nice middle going where if Buffalo were able to get into field goal range and potentially kick a winning field goal, we would have wound up hitting both. So we hedged off some of that 10-1 on NIU in that game. So we came out ahead there.
Yeah.
Win totals were really good. A couple of my stronger ones. The Auburn under at Westgate, paying a little extra juice. I mean, I didn't think that would be cash with a loss to Tennessee in mid-October, but it was. Mm-hmm. Georgia Southern couldn't have been any easier. Buffalo couldn't have been any easier. UL Monroe wound up going over. We did well. There were a couple of losers in there as well. Wyoming was a disappointment, and if you would have told me that Old Dominion would have beaten Virginia Tech, I would have told you, okay, where do I cash my ticket? But the Monarchs had a very disappointing season as well. So I'll take those the wins that I had this year and where I am, and now I'm still. I think we discussed that bet that Chris Andrews and the guys had put up at South Point about the CFP 5 versus the field. I'm still holding a ticket on the CFP 5, and I was joking with Chris before the year. I'm like, I'll take Alabama and Clemson versus the field if you want to just give me that. And it sure looks like that. And we're headed towards that again. So
absolutely,
as long as Notre Dame doesn't pull two upsets, I should say, we'll be looking at cashing that as well. So we're pretty happy with where we are.
Double digits on that? Heck yeah, you got to be sitting pretty. Absolutely. Man, yeah, we had some back and forth during that Buffalo game, and then that's why you hedge. To all your listeners out there, that is why you hedge. Buffalo was the better team against Northern Illinois, but they haven't been on that stage before. And so that's how they let that thing slide away, got nervous at the end. And, we had a great shot at a middle, which would have been awesome if NIU covered the spread, and we would have been sitting super pretty. But for us, at least we had our biggest season future bet on Buffalo. It kind of evened out all the other beer money we had on some of the other things, and we actually had a fantastic season win total bets as well, going 11-1-1. As a matter of fact, that was crazy good. I never expected to be that good again.
That's pretty. What was your loser, if you don't mind me asking?
The loser was South Carolina. Actually,
okay, and it came down. We kind of talked before the year about the middle of that schedule with the A&M and Missouri game and how they did in those two games. We're kind of going to tilt the direction of that game.
Yeah,
direction of that total.
Yes, yeah, you're correct about the fact that they did return a lot of people, but just didn't have the athletes in that division, in that conference. But and I think there's a lot of people high on them, so I'm okay with that one. With everything else coming out, great for us. Quick question before we get into these bowl games: what are your thoughts on players holding out for bowl games for the NFL?
As a fan of the sport and someone who loves college football, I don't like it. But at the same time, I respect their decision and their right to be able to do that. I mean, they have a future, a very short future in most cases in the NFL, where their earnings potential needs to be maximized. And if they want to not take a chance that they could suffer an injury like Jalen Smith, who, by the way, is having an unbelievable year now with the Dallas Cowboys, and or suffer a Willis McGahee type injury, that is totally their right and their prerogative to do that. I respect it, but I don't have to like it. But at the same time, when you see a guy like Benny Snell or Jeffrey Simmons, and that the post that Jeffrey Simmons had about, hey, Mississippi State stuck with me and took a chance on me when people were bailing on me. I'm finishing this out. I'm finishing the job, and let's do it one more time on New Year's Day. That excites me. That makes me want to root for Mississippi State. Makes me want to root for Jeffrey Simmons because that kid is playing in a game. It shows how much he loves his team. He loves his fan. He loves the school. Loves playing the sport. So when Jeffrey Simmons, a guy who probably has as high an NFL upside of any of these guys sitting out. He decides to go out there and play. That guy's good in my book.
Absolutely. And I can't agree with you more. I think that as a fan, it can suck for that team. But in the same conversation, it's more important for them to look out for their future. That's why you go to college, is to look out for your future. So, exactly. And these games are not the playoffs. The playoffs would be a little bit something different. In my opinion, might be different, but and I don't even know if this takes away even more from the bowl games and the whole playoff system argument. But as a fan, I hate to see my team without this person. But as a sports bettor, I think it's a good thing. As a sports bettor, there's some angles there that the public's going to go in with that they might not even know that Will Grier and their best offensive lineman is sitting out against Syracuse here, right? And they might keep that line a little bit fat for some people. They don't know that Devin Bush is sitting out for Michigan. So, as a sports bettor,
Karan Higdon and Rashawn Gary and some other guys as well.
Yeah.
So I think. I don't know when exactly you're going to be listening to this, and when you are listening to this right now, at the time we're doing this, that number is still hovering right around 7. So if it still is 7, you probably aren't going to get a better number. So I'd get down and bet the Wolverines. Rather the Gators.
Yeah, great call on that. And if you took the Wolverines early, it's not bad to take a 7.5 on the other side, because you're kind of at that key numbers between 6 and 7 there. So just kind of remember that. Always a good idea when news comes out to try to get ahead of the market there. Well, let's get right into it, Chris. The Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit, Michigan. We have Minnesota Golden Gophers against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech is laying about 6 points. It fell a little bit, maybe 5.5. Over-unders at 60. What are your thoughts on this game?
Obviously, it's been, for the most part, one-way action on Georgia Tech with people. The whole win one for the Gipper, Paul Johnson's final game, and that option attack. I don't know. This is kind of when I could only make a case for one side, and it looks so obvious and looks so good to be true, sometimes it's not. Now, if I had to bet the game, I'd bet Georgia Tech, and I wouldn't certainly endorse betting Minnesota, but I know the Gophers have played much better since that embarrassing loss to Illinois. Big wins over Wisconsin, big win over Purdue. And look, I get Georgia Tech wants to send Paul Johnson out a winner, but do you expect throngs of people to head from Atlanta to Detroit day after Christmas at Ford Field? Mm-mm. I don't know.
No,
you know PJ Fleck from his history in Western Michigan and being a Big Ten guy, but he's going to have those kids believe in and deserving a ball game and playing up that underdog role. His whole MO is getting kids to buy in and believe in an emotion. And remember, with Minnesota, I know it's different scenario, different administration per se, but a couple of years back in that Holiday Bowl, people were questioning whether they were even going to play the game, and they had suspensions, and people missed that game, and they went out and completely shut down Mike Leach's offense and won that Holiday Bowl in one of the more puzzling ball performances I've ever seen by a team with Washington State. So it's not like Minnesota doesn't have this precedence to go out and play well when people least expect it.
Yeah, absolutely. PJ Fleck's got him rowing the boat, right? And I'll tell you, these kids over there in Minnesota, I can't tell if they're going to be just happy to take the axe back from Wisconsin, or if they're going to come into this bowl game necessarily charged. But I got to admit, and I might want to be the few people here, I took a very small nibble on Minnesota at 6.5, and you saw that line drop back to 5.5 and around 6. See, I know the Gophers are going to be without their star offensive tackle, Donnell Green, and linebacker Rodney Smith because the NFL draft. Minnesota had a pretty hard schedule, but they finished the season really well. Right? They won 3 of their last 5 Big Ten games against Indiana, Purdue, and Wisconsin. And you know that Northwestern game when myself, I think you, and everybody else in the world was on Minnesota because it was a meaningless game against Northwestern. Right. They lost that game. They had 3 turnovers.